Okay.
Okay, I would like to call to order the Plan Commission public hearings for Thursday, May 5th, 2022. Could we have the roll call?
I've got Chairman Osterman is present on Zoom. Supervisor Plotecker,
Here.
Commissioner Olhafen,
Here.
Commissioner Nelson, Commissioner Mouche,
Here.
Commissioner Eberly,
Here.
Planner Sumwalt,
Here.
Attorney Macy,
Here.
Engineer Mitch Lysis is on Zoom, Administrator Nicholas,
Here.
and Clerk Capazzo to record the minutes.
Okay, notice is hereby given that the joint public hearings will be held by the Lisbon Board of Supervisors and Plan Commission on Thursday, May 5th, 2022 during the regular Plan Commission meetings, which starts at 6:30 at the Richard Young Fire Station, N54W26455 Lisbon Road, Lisbon, Wisconsin, to solicit public comments on the following items. Okay, A is public hearing number 1. A request for a major grading conditional use permit in the M2 General Industrial Zoning District for Brian Building Corporation / TDC Lisbon LLC related to the new building construction on the vacant parcel located on Richard Road and known as LSBT 0241999.001. Oren, do you want to start us out with?
I would be happy to. You have before you a request for a conditional use permit for a major grading permit for Brown Building Corporation. This is in association with a certified survey map for an approximately 150,000 square foot new warehouse and distribution building in the business park at the southeast corner of Main Street and Richard Road. The site is lot 1 of the proposed 2-lot certified survey map encompassing approximately 12.6 acres. And per section 3C5 of the zoning code, any land disturbance that exceeds 6,000 square feet in area or 60 cubic yards, which this project would, requires a major grading permit, which is processed as a conditional use permit or CUP. We'll get into more details of the rest of the project as we get into those particular items. So I won't get too much in detail, but there are specific conditional use considerations for land altering activities that are listed in both staff review for the Plan Commission to consider. And I don't have any specific comments. I don't know if the town engineer wants to chime in, but you've got a list of conditions for the CUP in the staff review from both, and they're all pretty typical, essentially limiting the approval to the particular tax key number that this lot has, and limiting the use to the plans as presented to the Plan Commission this evening. And then the plans, of course, would not be in full force and effect until all the comments from the town engineer, planner, attorney, and Plan Commission have been addressed, and any necessary permits and approvals from the county have been obtained. There's also some more specific comments from the town engineer that this body has seen on past conditional use permits for major grading permits.
At this time, Madam Chair, we would see if the petitioner would step forward, introduce themselves, and set forth any evidence that they wish the board to consider for the major grading.
Is there anyone here to speak on this matter?
Well, actually, you're supposed to be addressing the issues in the report. Have you seen the report? I mean, that's what the planner just said.
There's a button out there.
Hello,
There you go.
works. Dominic Ferrante with Brian. We're the design build company that's working with the landowner to build the building. I thought these would be things that would come up later in the actual plan commission meeting, but we are working with staff. We had a meeting with planning and engineering about 3-4 weeks ago, and working to address the comments that were presented in the reviews. I did provide supplemental elevations and renderings for a request that was brought to our attention for an additional west view. So that is in there's a 3-page section of drawings that I gave for everyone. I'm not sure if you have it in front of you or not.
Yes, we do.
Good. So that is on there, and we basically show the building pretty much all the way around all 4 sides. The variation from what was submitted to you earlier, for the most part, is the tenant that would be occupying the building requested the blue color instead of the red color, because it follows more with their corporate image and color. That's really the only change from an aesthetic standpoint. As far as the accents and the architecture, it's relatively the same, or pretty much the same, other than that change of color and the provision of the additional view that was requested. We have made adjustments to additional landscape that was requested as part of the comments, both on the east and west side. And the drawings in front of you do not show that, but I did hand a couple sets of updated drawings reflecting the modifications that were requested as part of the comments. Our civil engineer, CJ Engineering, has been working with Conkle on a number of questions and issues. And we've been addressing those as the questions come up, both for the CSM and the civil engineering packet. And again, the drawings that I gave Kathy and sent yesterday electronically reflect those ongoing updates that we've been making on the specific comments that were made. I believe one was bike parking. We did provide that near the main entrance as well. At this point, I guess if anyone has any specific questions, I'll try to answer them as best I can.
Actually, thank you for that information. And you're correct, that really comes up under the other agenda items. We have, there's 2, 4, 6, 7 factors that they're specifically supposed to consider as a major grading conditional use.
Sure.
And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 general. So many times people come up and they just talk through those. And so maybe the planner can highlight those that some of them are not. The first one is not, I don't believe, applicable because it's highway or residential. I'll ask. So you've submitted detailed plans of the project at a scale of not less than 1 inch to 100 feet, including all the areas to be graded, filled, or otherwise altered.
Correct.
And the use will not cause flooding, concentrated runoff, inadequate drainage, unfavorable topography, excessive erosion or sedimentation, or restrict navigation in navigable waters.
Correct.
Such use shall comply with all ordinances of the town and the county and the Wisconsin statutes.
Yes.
And the use we're talking about now is the grading use, not the use of the,
Correct.
your use and then the ultimate tenant use. There's 3
Correct.
uses that come up in tonight's discussion. So this one is just limited to the grading use. So the
Understood.
major grading is allowed in this district. Rezoning is not required. And you're aware that you have to conform to Lisbon stormwater management erosion control ordinance, correct?
Correct.
So, and then if I would, the planner can highlight if there are any. I was glancing at the A through J. We've already hit on that the use is allowed in the district. I'm just trying for the commissioners to get the basics in. If you're following along on pages 2 and 3, it's always good as part of the public hearing to at least get the basics in. We're not requiring, extensive evidence necessarily in these regards for your past practice. Arden, you're looking through A through J, do any other specifically apply that you feel we need to get into the record?
No, I think we've addressed all or majority of those items, and if there's any minor item that might not be addressed, it will be addressed with my civil engineer in coordination with Conkle Engineering on behalf of the town.
Yeah, I think maybe B and C could be addressed. Since I can't really speak to.
B and C of 13 or
Page 3.
Page
page 3?
Of the report. I went through the specific conditions with you. I through Roman numeral 1 through Roman numeral 7.
Sure.
And now we're going through A through J. And the planner has indicated he'd like to at least look at B
Sure.
and C and make comments on them. Otherwise, he doesn't.
Not a problem. I can do that. The established maintenance or operation of proposed use will not be detrimental. It's comparable to some of the other uses in the general area. As far as the proposed use in landscape and screening, we have addressed the comments that were made. And as far as the east and west screening, we added that more robust screening to both of those sides. Our landscape designer provided the additional information on the plans that I gave to staff tonight and emailed as well yesterday. And as far as the intensity and use, it follows with the comprehensive plan and the zoning that's. for
And again,
this-
sir, I know it's a little confusing. All we're talking about is the major grading, not
Well-
the actual ultimate use of the property. So if the only time you could probably be violative of B or C is if you were like grade the entire parcel and build, 8-foot berms all the way around it and, and somebody might question whether or not you're meeting the requirements of B and C under those situations. But grading is pretty typical of a construction site, and we're aware of that fact. Be it, not many of these kind of developments can get under the 6,000 square feet or the 60 yards. So many people come in who are developing your sites for the major grading permit. We're going to get into the rest of the details of the your use and then potential future customers of yours when we get to the other agenda items. As you started by saying, I thought this was coming up later. We're only concentrating on the major grading permit. Madam Chair, could we see if any of your commissioners have any questions regarding the major grading permit? All other questions can be raised later.
Does anyone have any questions?
I just
Joe?
one question. You said that you either have finished or are working on the stormwater management.
Stormwater management is in the process. It has been submitted, I believe, to Conkle Engineering for their review, and our civil engineer has been working with Mitch from Conkle to complete that. So yes, we are.
Okay, I mean, yes, because this site is essentially paved.
Correct.
Mitch is here on Zoom and has some comments as well.
Yeah, Joe, so what we did was, there's a regional storm pond in the area. There were certain requirements that they completed on site to bring their curve number in within our design parameters. So we've reviewed that, and it is it works along with our stormwater pond that's within the area.
So for those in the audience who may not have heard, he indicated that there's a regional stormwater pond that works into this major grading permit, and that's in answer to the commissioner's question. Mr. Everly, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did, sir.
Great.
Thank you.
And let me just add, this is related to it to some extent. We are proposing to add control flow to the roof as well to provide additional capacity on the roof. And the additional roof detention will help limit the peak runoff, which is part of the equation when you're doing the stormwater management.
I saw that.
So we are working to do what we can and stay within the parameters of what's been established by the town engineers.
Thank you. That's all I have, Vic.
Okay, anyone else have any questions?
No, my questions were running in to that question that was just answered in terms of runoff. It's 150,000 square feet. There's a retention pond to the southeast of the site.
That retention pond was put in as a placeholder for the south lot, which is lot 2, if needed. In the evaluations that CJ Engineering has done, he has determined that the pond is not required. So when we make our formal submittal for lot 2, the pond will not be there, but we will use the area that the pond occupied on that footprint as far as green space. By utilizing the green space, the control flow roof and the regional pond, we are within the threshold that's been established as far as overall green space, so that we're not exceeding what the capacity of the regional pond is, in combination with the rooftop detention that we're adding onto the 150,000 square foot building that we're talking about this evening.
All right. Well, obviously, our concern would be there's a lot of hard surface. Obviously, your parking area, the parking area goes in front and the back of the building,
Right.
and hence the roof, which you just addressed. So apparently that is a topic for later discussion.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anyone else? No?
At this point, we should see if there's anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this matter, Madam Chair.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this matter?
If anyone on Zoom has a comment, please use the raise hand function.
Hearing no comments from the people present or on Zoom, we return to the planner to see if he has anything further that he needs to address as part of the public hearing.
I do not. No.
Anything else from the petitioner in regards to the major grading permit?
No, other than we're available for later to answer additional questions if needed.
And this matter is on as an agenda item later. We're just doing the public hearing at this time, Mr. Planner.
Correct.
Okay, if there's no one who has any other comments to make, I'm going to close public hearing number 1 at 6:49. Okay. Public hearing number 2, a request to rezone the property located at N94W23611 Hermitage Drive, LSBT 0150.020.002 from A3 Agricultural Residential Estate District to the R2 Single Family Residential District for Richard Swanson. No changes proposed for the area zoned upland corridor or C1 Conservancy. Because we do not have a quorum of the town board here, we are going to have to adjourn this hearing until June 2nd at 6:30. Does anyone have that motion?
Well, we have,
Oh.
you've opened the public hearing. I just want to make that, and now we'll adjourn it. Does anybody have any questions as to the status of this matter?
No.
Any questions from the public on the status of the matter? There is a history here. The petitioner was advised, correct, of this and is not present. Oh, Mr.
I was
Swanson, I'm
gonna
sorry, I
say he's here.
apologize. Just for the record, just so it's not a surprise to you, as part of this process, he's in the process of also doing a text amendment. So he's requested that we wouldn't have taken action tonight anyway. I just want to make it very clear, he's not being harmed or delayed by a motion to adjourn until next month. And actually, it'll work better to have all of his things coming in as a total package at one time. And I would note for the record that the petitioner is acquiescing to my comments by shaking his head. I believe that he and his wife are both in concurrence with this adjournment. So Madam Chair, at this point, we would welcome a motion to adjourn the matter to June 2nd at 6:30 PM.
Is someone going to make that motion?
So
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Joe, seconded by Ed. Oh, by Jeff.
No, Jeff.
Jeff, okay. All right, all in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say nay. Okay, motion passes. 6-0.
Joe's on Zoom and he voted yes also. Joe.
Right,
Me?
that's why I said 6.
Joe. Adjourn.
Right. Okay, next we will open public hearing number 3. Joint public hearing to consider whether to terminate a conditional use permit issued to Condon Properties Limited Partnership for a communications tower located on the property known as LSBT 0257071.
Madam Chair, we call the hearing to order. We've received a request from the owner of the tower to adjourn in order that they might have more time. They have, they're on Zoom. It's my understanding they've indicated they have been noticed for the hearing, as have Elisa, the neighbors, and the property owner of the subject where the tower is located. So for 2 reasons tonight. One, as a courtesy, if the board is of a mind to do so, of the owner of the tower, as well as the fact that we don't have 3 members of the town board present to hear the hearing. We're asking that the matter also be adjourned until June 2nd at 6:30. We do have people, did I say the date wrong?
Nope, you have the date correct. I just wanted to let you know that we do have a hand raised by Attorney Belair on Zoom.
Okay, so Madam Chair, the owner is represented and has asked to speak. I assume there's no objection to hearing from
From the
council.
tower owner.
Okay,
Counselor, if you wish to speak, the floor is yours.
Good evening, members of the Board of Supervisors and Plan Commission. Bonnie Belair with American Tower, 10 Presidential Way, Woburn, Mass. 01801. I want to speak tonight on the matter of terminating the permit of the telecom facility on Mary Hill Road. We just found out about this last Friday. We were notified by the property owner's attorney. So I'd also like to raise the issue of notice. I know someone previously said we were noticed, but the notice that we received was last Friday from the property owner's attorney. I will check to be sure what address you're sending notices to. And one of the reasons I'd like, to continue the matter is to have time to retain local counsel. So I'm asking for a continuance.
Okay, so Counselor, thank you for that statement. For the record, we have a returned receipt signed by, it appears to be a Mr. Long on 4/28. The card for the return notice was mailed to American Tower Corp. Attention Landlord Communications, 10 Presidential Way, Woburn, Mass. 01801, and it was sent certified mail. So that's why I made the representation that you were advised, that the owner was advised. As you said, you were
Yeah,
checking-
can you tell me what the date was?
The card says date of delivery was April 25th.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So feel free to contact us, but there are others present here, but this matter will be set over. I anticipate that there will be a motion to adjourn to June 2nd at 6:30 at the request of the owner of the tower, and because we would want a quorum of the town board present to hear the matter also.
okay. Could I have a motion, please, to adjourn this until the June 2nd?
So
Meeting.
move.
Ed.
Okay, Ed, second?
I'll second.
Okay, by Brian. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it passes 6-0. Okay, in that case, I will adjourn the public hearings as, first I have to adjourn that one, right?
No, we made.
Okay, all right. So I will adjourn the public hearings at 6:56. Okay, then I'm going to call to order the Plan Commission meeting at 6:56. We've already had a roll call, so we will move right to citizens' comments. Is there anyone here who would like to make a comment? Teresa? You know I always get paper. Yes, I know you do.
Teresa Nelson, N95, W25850 Riverview Drive. I handed Supervisor Plottecker a copy of my submission at the August 2021 Plan Commission on hearing on Quick Trip. And I highlighted something on page 3. I'm going to read it to you right now. Other concerns include that no traffic study to date has even looked at the impacts of traffic at Riverview Drive. WISDOT will not do so because they say it's not a state road. This is up to the town to review, yet Quick Trip has provided no evidence related to it. I cannot tell from the packet where the entrance on 164, this is pertaining to Quick Trip, is to now be located, but it will obviously be closer to Riverview Drive. And it appears that a left turn lane from northbound 164 through the roundabout safety median has been added. As of 1 p.m. on the afternoon of August 19th, the date of the hearing for the CUP, the town of Lisbon had not seen Quick Trip's traffic plan, so we're not able to review it, let alone provide substantial evidence if it's deficient. The reason I bring that up is because that Quick Trip is being built right now. And as I had raised in the past, concern at every meeting going back to 2014, the increased traffic entering onto 164 from that former Associated Bank property. And there was never anything done with regard to a traffic study and the impacts at Riverview Drive. I was repeatedly told the project doesn't go that far south, so they don't need to look at that. Well, guess what? Yes, it does, because it's being built right now. And Quick Trip has put a driveway, if you will, that extends the entire length of 164 South from their exit, from their driveway exit all the way down. And guess where it terminates? At Riverview Drive. So now what you've got, what I expressed before to you guys, and I'll express it again, is when people are coming out of that roundabout on 164 South, it merges, it's a 2-lane roundabout and it merges down to 1 lane. It merges down at about the point where Quick Trip's new driveway is going to be. So what you've got happening is people come flying through that roundabout and they try to pass any slower moving vehicles as quickly as they can before it merges down to 1 lane. Meanwhile, those of us who live on Riverview Drive are slowing down to turn left from 164 to get to our homes. I have been hit. My car was totaled. I can no longer feel my hands and feet properly. My neck was broken, sitting, waiting to turn on Riverview Drive. I'm lucky I survived. I didn't have to have flight for life. The guy that hit me did, because he didn't see me because he was on his cell phone. I'm not the only one that's been creamed at that intersection, and it's about to get a hell of a lot worse, because now what you're going to have happening is it is a 2-lane roundabout coming into 3 lanes at the Quick Trip driveway, and then merging down to 2 lanes because the new driveway exit from Quick Trip will extend all the way to Riverview Drive. So now as we are trying to slow down to turn onto Riverview Drive, the people that are in a damn hurry are going to go over to the right and pass us on the right, while you've got vehicles coming out of Quick Trip at slow motion, trying to get up to speed. That is a death trap waiting to happen. I went to the town board with this last week, and Chairman Osterman admitted that I had brought it up before to you guys, my concerns about slow-moving traffic and exiting Quick Trip and trying to merge on 164. He suggested I should be happy that there is now an exit lane from Quick Trip that runs the entire length until it terminates at Riverview Drive. But this is even worse, because now you have the 2 lanes merging down to 1 at the exact point where town residents are attempting to get onto a town road, Riverview Drive. When I pointed that out to Chairman Osterman, he suggested that this was the plan all along. I submit to you that it can't be both, that this extended lane was added to address my stated concern about the merge 500 feet north of Riverview Drive, and that the plan all along was to extend Quick Trip's driveway all the way to Riverview Drive. Either way, the Plan Commission did not do its due diligence and follow town ordinances pertaining to the Quick Trip Cup, that it never required Quick Trip to provide a traffic safety analysis of its proposed driveway extending down to Riverview Drive. And I want to know what you're going to do about it before someone gets killed trying to turn left onto Riverview from southbound 164. The chairman told me that it's a state road, he can't do anything about it. Yeah, well, we're on a state road when we get creamed. We're not on Riverview Drive when that happens. That's a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. I can think of a few options. Shut down Riverview Drive access from 164 is my first one. Reduce the speed limit down to 25 miles an hour from the roundabout all the way down to probably Hickory Road. But I can't do it. You guys need to do it. You messed it up, you fixed it. That's your job. They ain't gonna listen to me at the state DOT. And I submit to you that you don't wait until a town resident gets killed before you do something about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment on anything that's on the agenda or anything at all? Okay. All right, next we'll have approval of the meeting minutes. We are not going to do April 7th, so we are just going to approve the minutes for March 3rd, 2022. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes, or would someone like to do a motion on them?
I'll move for their adoption.
Okay, motion made by
Sorry.
Joe, seconded
I will
by
second that.
Ed. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, that's 6-0. Okay, old business. Okay, A is discussion and necessary action on the request by applicant Brian Lindgren, Newman Developments, on behalf of owner Steve Meisner, Hickory Hills Farm, Inc., for the concept plan review of the new layout for the proposed Alpine Hills subdivision on the vacant parcel located along Mary Hill Road, Silver Spring Drive, and identified as LSBT 0224999003. Oren, do you want to start?
Sure. Plan Commission has before them a concept plan. This has previously been before the commission under the name of Hickory Hill West. So this is the same property. This is a very similar layout to the conceptual subdivision here. There have been a few changes. The proposed zoning has changed from R1 suburban single-family residential with a PUD overlay to R2 single-family residential. The minimum lot size is 1 acre. And the applicant has a few items that they're looking for feedback from the commission on. I just wanted to point out that this project has been before Waukesha County for a development review team previously for the Hickory West development, and the staff review that was done by Bierbicker back in August of 2021 for the original concept plan review for Hickory Hills West is in the packet, which provides a very detailed background and review. And I'll turn it over to the applicants to make their presentation.
Thank you. I'm Brian Lindgren with Newman Developments. Good to see you all again. And Eric Obarski, Newman Developments. As Orin mentioned, largely the same street layout as what we saw several months ago. But in looking at the plan, the amount of space we have on this property, we didn't feel it was necessary to push towards a PUD. We had the space to utilize a traditional zoning, R2, which is consistent with the surrounding neighborhoods. We hope that by using that R2, it would blend seamlessly into the neighborhoods to the west, where the lots are an acre. These lots are an acre, acre plus. The idea behind this was connect Hillview Drive and Lake Drive, two dead ends that dead end into the property currently. They really don't have really good turnarounds. It's kind of a troublesome spot for emergency vehicles and plows and such. By continuing those, that loop would increase the safety for everybody in the area, as well as make it a lot easier for everybody to maintain. And then there's a kind of a creek that goes through that splits the property from north to south. And then on the north side, there's really no opportunities to exit that area. So a cul-de-sac would be the only solution in the northern half of the property. In addition to the layout that we provided with the R2 zoning, we provided an overall area map, which kind of helps show how this ties into the greater area. You can see areas to the east is the Vista Run development, which is another development of ours, where we're transitioning from all the way over by Kohl's to higher density townhomes, attached condominiums and things like that, and transitioning into larger and larger lots as we go closer to Mary Hill Road. And then jumping across Mary Hill Road would be our proposed development here of Alpine Hills, which is yet another step up from what we're developing Vista Run. So we anticipate nice, large estate-esque homes and estate-esque lots. And yes, the development, if we're here for conceptual review and comments, largely because based on a couple questions that we have, we'd like to move this forward for development next year. There are multiple steps that would have to happen first. So I guess the first question I have is, last time we had a conversation on zoning, does the Plan Commission feel that R2 would be an appropriate zoning for this parcel?
Why don't you ask all of your questions and then we'll go down the line, and unless there's 14 or 15 of them.
Nope,
but maybe
I've
they'll
only
get
got 3,
there.
Mr. Macy, but I could come up with some more probably.
No, but then we can get an idea of, all of the sense of it, and we normally would go down the line. I'm sure everyone will
Sure.
take notes so the first question is R2, in their opinion, the appropriate zoning.
Yep. Second question, as was brought out in the DRT notes, is that connecting of the roads from the west, Hillview Drive and Lakeview Drive, would involve the crossing of an INRA, an isolated natural resource area. That's an area that is actually currently on the Osplick property. We are doing this, trying to work together with Osplick. And I apologize if I didn't mention that, or to give background for anybody who may not have been at the prior meeting. So where lots 28 and 27 are, and outlot number 5, that property currently belongs to Osplick. And then we have an additional outlot number 4, which would be along Mary Hill, that is on the Meissner property, owned by Meissner right now, that we would be creating with the intent of doing a land swap, if you will, with Osplick. So they could have some usable land adjacent to their parking lot, with the intent that they would love to expand their parking lot, because there are certain times of the year where they have events and races and things like that, where parking does become an issue, and people attempt to park on Mary Hill Road, which isn't the best option for them. So jumping back to cover that. So the first question was zoning. The second question is connectivity of those roads. Based on conversations with the county, they did feel that it would go a long way if the town was supportive of connecting those roads, because of the nature of the INRA, from a position that it would enhance the and it would benefit the community from a connectivity standpoint, safety, DPW concerns, and so on. And then the third one is, if this does move forward, there is a series of land use changes and things like that. Is the board supportive of changing land uses in regards to the Osplick property? So portions would change from, I believe it's recreational now, into a residential type use for R2. And then a portion of our property would be added to their recreational or whatever they are under land use right now. So it's kind of there's a lot of steps that go into this process if it should move forward, and we're able to help them out and help everybody out by connecting some roads. So turn it over to the board, have any feedback and answer questions.
But Madam Chair, as you know, your board is not shy. We may have someone who wishes to start before we go down the line. I see a hand.
I see Ed. Ed,
No problem with R2. The road access issue, which we were addressing, and land swapping, I would prefer as few of these homes or the vehicles from these homes would exit onto Maryhill as possible. So the plan does address that. There's a section obviously to the south and a section to the north. My question, the properties, the lots, I'm sorry, this keeps jumping around on me. Lots 28, 27, 14, 15, 16, and 17, which are closest to the Osplick property, Ski Hill. The proposed berm, who's building that? Osplick or Newman?
We would be the builders of it in cooperation with Osplick. As it shows on it, it does kind of cross over property lines and such. We'd be building it, and it's something that they requested specifically to help give themselves a separation from their operations and the residential use. We're very respectful of their concerns that a disclosure would be made to any future owners that if it isn't obvious, they do know that that is a ski hill and it operates seasonally, and it does operate into the evenings, and they make snow and all that.
Yeah, that was my question it has to be addressed, because I can see residents building high-end homes and going, what's that noise and why are the lights on so late at night? I mean, honestly, again, properties I mentioned, 28, 27, and then 14 through 17 would definitely snowmaking. I know Osplick installed new snowmaking equipment. I have no idea how noisy it is. Also the issue of lights. It would not be very popular for you, but depending on what other board members think, some of the properties I would possibly, but I know that it would not be economically feasible, that 14, 15, and 16 possibly be eliminated. I don't think that's going to happen. Commissioner Eberly.
Okay. Are you done?
I am.
Okay.
Pass the torch.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any, I think R2 is a lot better than the PUD we were here with last time. So that to me is not an issue. I have a series of questions, so that will reply to your questions. First question is, how long is court A?
Off the top of my head, I don't have a note, but.
Okay, I mean,
300.
my question is, and
I'm gonna say about 800.
okay,
So just
so
adding
it
up
should
lots.
fall underneath the town's maximum cul-de-sac requirement? Yes?
I'm not sure. So I don't know the number of the maximum off the top of my head,
I think,
But,
what, do you remember?
and the ability for the
Okay,
board to approve.
We'll move
longer.
on and Orin can look that up. Okay,
Yeah.
the question, I'm concerned about Hillview Drive. I think it should be connected if feasible. And it gets back to coming down that ski hill, what that grading plan is gonna be. Because if Hillview Drive coming out of Beacon Hills is extremely steep, it's gonna be a royal pain to plow that thing going west. If we get a real snowstorm, which I know we haven't had for a couple of years, they're not gonna be able to plow that thing going up the hill. So I think you need to really look at the grading plan for Hillview and what that's gonna look like and how much additional side slope you're going to need in order to get that down that hill.
We would look to minimize the disturbance in the wooded areas, and our engineer has taken a look at this, and I know the location of it was placed such that it's kind of in a natural swale that comes down that hill.
Okay, I mean, because we'll be looking at that when that,
Yeah,
So we
yep.
get that
And
plan.
I believe if the maximum in the town is 9%, if that sounds
yeah,
familiar, slope.
it should be less than 10.
10, okay, so I believe when the engineer looked at it, we were at about 9 or under we could achieve.
Okay, I mean, that's got to be looked at, which leads to the next question. In order to minimize the impact to the natural resource area, would you be amenable to designating the building pads on 28 and 27 outside that? And then that would solve a lot of environmental concerns. If, I mean, there's enough room left on, if this aerial photo that you supplied us with is correct, there's more than enough room on both of those lots to put a building pad outside what is mapped as the internet, that natural resource area. And I think that would, and then preserve that natural resource area.
Yes, so that's why, based on feedback from the board and from the county, Outlot 5 was created to put it off of people's lots so it could further
Right.
protect it. But with what on the lots, yes, I think we could help dictate where the home should go. The mound or septic system has to be a little bit more flexible.
I
But
understand.
the home itself, we could, on the plat, place additional setback requirements, or
Right.
protective
I
requirements.
mean, if you
on
put
those
the,
lots, yes.
there's enough room there for a building pad for a very good sized house on
Yes.
both those lots. You could keep it outside of there. I understand the septic systems are another matter and it's gonna be whatever it's gonna be, but to the extent we can stay out of those woods on both those lots would make me feel a whole lot better about going into that area. Which gets to the next question, which was something I raised last time. And it has to do with the intersection with Mary Hill Road of Court A. It's got to mirror what's on the other side of the street. And I'm thinking that you might have some input into what's on the other side of the street.
Yep.
I don't want a Sussex half of an intersection and a Lisbon half of an intersection, and it should be one intersection. And whatever's on the east side should be on the left side, on the west side, as far as all the lanes and the turn lanes and the pass lanes and everything else in the whiffs. Because coming down that hill from Silver Spring on Mary Hill, as you know, is a very steep grade. And the majority of the traffic at that intersection's going to be going to Vista Run. It's not going to be going into this. So obviously the west side of that right away is Lisbon's. The east side is Sussex. If we had to do it all over again, I would have changed that, but I didn't have any input into that. But I just don't want two different halves there.
No objection. to
Somebody
that.
should look at, and I'm going to want to see when you get to the preliminary plat stage, assuming this goes forward, I want to see the plans for that intersection.
We have no
because-
objection to matching what's
Yeah,
across the
and
street.
we need enough stuff going to the north towards Silver Spring too. Because that road right now, and you're as familiar, I live right down there. That road isn't the best in the entire world, and I want to make sure that whatever Sussex requires, that Lisbon's going to require on their half. So please be aware of that. The bike path issue, which leads into that, we talked a little bit last time about the bike path on Silver Spring. I am of the belief, because you don't control the corner up there, and even if you did, I think that bike path should come down within the right of way on Silver Spring and be brought into the subdivision on Court A, and then tie into whatever, I don't know. I don't have the plans, obviously, for Vista Run on the other side, but somehow or another, it should connect into Vista Run. Vista Run is obviously a very large development, and there's going to be a very large park over there that the village is going to be populating. And there's going to be a lot of people going to that park from Lisbon. So what I'm thinking is if we brought that bike path down Silver Spring and got it the heck out of Silver Spring and brought it through, between
Between like
5 and 6 or something like that, get it on Court A and then get that across and have, I don't know what the plan is across the street, but there should be somewhere you can drive a bike from Silver Spring through Court A, through that intersection over to the park, because that's what's going to happen. And the amount that we can keep people off of Mary Hill Road and off of Silver Spring is going to benefit everybody. So you asked about the bike path. I think we should get it the heck off of Silver Spring. as fast
That's
as
a
we
good
can.
point. Yeah, I missed that question as well. There is a desire to have a bike path on Silver Spring, but
Yeah.
putting it in a more functional location, we have no objection.
I just have two more things. Number one is the maintenance of these outlots, all this green area that's on your concept plan here. It's going to be substantial. And I would like to see an HOA created on day one and a budget presented so that the people buying these lots know what they're getting into. Because to maintain all this common area is going to be significant. And I don't want, I'm dealing with this on another subdivision where I live, and people didn't have an HOA and they're going to have one soon, and they have no idea what they're going to be paying for because they figure it's going to be $10 a year. It's not going to be 10. There's a lot of work that has to be done here on all this green area as far as preserving that. So I think that if you could present an HOA on day one, I realize it's going to be staged like any other development that you would do, but people should have some understanding that here's what you're going to start paying on an annual basis to do all this, and give them the itemization of what it's going to be. So,
We establish HOAs in every.
yeah. And the last thing is, and maybe this is more of a question for Oren, this rezoning exhibit, shouldn't more of this be C1? To me, it seems like we're missing something somewhere. There's a lots where it's the rezoning of Court A. Shouldn't that, what's being shown on here by Trio to be rezoned to C1, shouldn't that be more? Shouldn't it look more like this one? All this green that's there? The non-lot area?
Certainly there are areas of wetland that are not being shown on the exhibit as C1. I don't think the applicants. would
Actually, I think
object.
that's what it is just following the wetland.
So
boundary.
just
I think
following
it goes
the
down
wetland
to the
boundary.
definition, the C1 zoning for the town, because they followed more the wetlands. Now, so we have the option of extending that if the board desires to include
I mean,
areas like environmental
I-
corridors.
I've made this statement 100 times at least. I don't profess to be a planner. However, it seems sense to me. It's either R2 or it's C1 down there. There shouldn't be anything left in there. Then there's no question in the future in 10 or 20 years. Well, if I can't do something in C1 and I can do this in R2, what's left with the rest of this? And I don't think we should allow the R2 rights on this green area. It should be all C1. So I would defer to our planner what his suggestion would be on that comment, leave it like that. To me, I'm just a dumb engineer, but to me, it's like, it's black and white. It's either this or it's this, and the heck with everything else. Why would we make life difficult in the future? Because somebody's gonna say, well, why the heck did you leave that or rezone that to R2? You can't do anything on it anyway. So I think that you maybe work with the town planner on that issue, and whatever Oren comes up with is fine with me. And that's all I've
We're
got.
open to that, yeah.
If you guys are amenable to it.
Yeah. As long as
I think
yeah,
we'll-
we can keep our stormwater maintenance and ample areas to
Yeah.
the HOA and utilize it for that. And if we do other paths, that could be, that's
Right.
okay in C1.
As long as we can fit in all the
No
uses, they're gonna be
objection.
limited, like stormwater
Yeah.
into the.
And,
bike
and
path,
when we do
stuff like
plat
that.
this, it'll be platted as an outlot,
Yeah.
so it will be protected from future development in that manner.
I just thought it'd be a lot easier, but this is a vast improvement over the last time you were here. I commend you for that and thank you for listening to us, but that's all my preaching for today on this.
I just have two comments. The first, to answer Commissioner Everly's question, the town's cul-de-sac length per the code is 500 feet. And the town engineer has his hand raised and would like to make some comments.
Okay.
Well, Warren answered the one question that I was going to respond to. The other thing I just wanted to point out to you guys as well is that there's a requirement for a minimum tangent line or tangent length. It's found under Chapter 12, Section 703G. Without having any dimensions, I just want to make sure that we're still complying with the town ordinance for that.
Just looking at it, it looks like yes, but until we get the engineer to evaluate that, we'll answer that question down the
Yeah,
road.
you're gonna have to,
Yeah.
you're gonna be requesting
Yeah.
that an exemption
I-
to,
If necessary, we would request a waiver, but it doesn't seem necessary.
I
here.
personally
Right.
hate granting those things because I hate cul-de-sacs, because from a maintenance standpoint for the DPW, they're a royal pain in the butt. But in this case, because of that house that sits up there in the northwest corner, unfortunately, otherwise, this would be such a great opportunity to connect those two streets together, but I know that we can't. But I see what you're up against.
Mhm.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam
Thank
Chairman.
Jeff?
Gee, that's all you had, huh? I'm
That's
sorry.
all he had.
I have a
Yours
couple
is-
things, a couple that you addressed for me, so that was nice. I'm also concerned about snow plowing and this grade. I have a question whether or not, do you plan on having curb and gutter in through that isolated natural resource area on that slope?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can answer that one yet without the engineer taking the next step to plan out stormwater.
I
A lot of
wouldn't
that.
expect so unless
Yeah.
the grades would determine it to manage stormwater down the hill. We have done that in the past in certain subdivisions, so I think we'd have to analyze what the grade was like, look at the stormwater plan and determine if the flows would dictate that curbing or if we would do a real cross section.
Well, I think it's,
And we've done it in the past to kind of limit the extent that we'd have to push into the INRA
bingo, that's
to
exactly.
control
my-
stormwater. So that's an area where the,
That's exactly my point, is to
Makes sense.
minimize that disturbance in that area. Okay. As far as R2 goes, that's fine. I like your idea of conservancy, C1, the other areas. Yeah, isolated natural resource area, I think you indicated that the county is okay with that?
yeah, the county, our conversations is generally environmental corridors of all the classifications, the INRA being the lowest, the third kind of tier classification, are all protected. But there's flexibility within those INRA and other environmental corridor areas, and there are exceptions can be made, and that's where, and exceptions can be made as we're requesting here for connecting what is a logical road pattern, which would help in life safety and not having these additional dead ends. It would help in DPW concerns to be able to plow through streets and instead of stopping and turning around, things like that. And the impact being that this is an INRA is far less than other types of corridors, secondary, primary.
Okay, I have another question, but not really for you. And that is, years ago, gosh, this is probably 25 years ago, we had an agreement with the village of Sussex to provide sewer service in this particular area. I don't know if that has been, modified over the years or not. I don't know if that, if it doesn't work in this area, and it might not because of the topography and whatever else. Then I just wanted to know if you were aware of that, the staff, and if, that it isn't on the maps to be sewer, that you know, we make sure we, you know, allocate that capacity somewhere else.
Yeah, the change in our border agreement did allow us to move the sewer where needed.
Yeah, like I say, that was a long time ago, and I just wanted to point that out.
Thanks.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
My fellow commissioners covered everything I was interested in and then some, so I'm good.
Thank you.
I am also good with the R2. My biggest concern, and I know that's something you have to coordinate with Osblick, is those lights are really bright at night and they're on all night. They make snow all night long. I mean, I can lay in bed and see their lights. So just, you know, so that people are aware that they do have snowmaking equipment and they use it all night in the winter. That's all I had. Joe, do you have anything?
I echo your comments about moving next to the, you know, these people are moving next to the ski hill, so we don't want to be getting complaints about the fact that there's a ski hill operating. Hillview Drive does scare me how it is that close to Osblick. We do have issues right now on Mary Hill at times where we have to send our DPW crews out at times to have that plowed when they're making their snow or salted. And I know that they have, I believe they were still reimbursing us for extra times that we've had to go out there. So how would that be addressed on Hillview Drive if that were to go through there? Because the wind's blowing right. I mean, that could become very slippery, and I mean, the town is not going to be sending out its salt trucks extra on everyone else's dollar to take care of that if we can prevent that here. So I guess I'd want to know how that would be addressed. I'm good with R2, by the way, also.
And thanks for the comments, Joe. That's exactly the things, reasons why we're starting this now for a next year project. Because we'll bring Osblick in. They have a conditional use permit that, you know, allows them certain things in the process of kind of changing the land uses and zoning and designing the neighborhood. Some of that may need to be revisited or addressed separately.
And ladies and gentlemen, you really didn't respond to the third question to best of my notes as to whether anybody saw any concerns with the use swaps between the recreational land to residential and residential to, I guess you would have commented, I assume, if you had seen a concern. So are they led to believe that that's not an issue for anyone?
Not for me, no.
Not for me.
The question I have is, as you just mentioned, is chicken and egg thing. If this goes forward as you presented it, we've got to have them lined up and you lined up simultaneously. So we're going to have to deal with this at the same time. What I'm getting at is I don't want to approve what you've got here without them having got what they need. And it's going to have to work whether we do it the same night or
Precisely.
whatever.
I'm sure they would not support a change of their parcel unless everything was moving forward. So,
Right, I mean, you
we-
understand.
yeah.
this, and you
Just
guys
like
will do this
we
stuff.
wouldn't want to move ahead without their agreement
Well,
also.
So
So
I envision
Because you wouldn't get past-
several applications all coming in concurrence and an order of conditional approvals in a very specific order that
I mean,
you
it's
know,
gonna
yeah.
take a long.
this one's a little, it's tricky
You
as a result.
appreciate
Yep,
that.
absolutely.
It's already the end of May.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Yep.
that's the only concern I have.
Madam Chairman. In terms of the last item, Attorney Casey, I'm in agreement. If I'm sitting next to a dumb engineer, I'd hate to see a smart one.
They're better looking.
Yeah, right. The The entrance issue, I agree with Commissioner Everly. It should mirror what's on the Sussex side, Mary Hill. I would suggest, in terms of the HOA that will be developed or created, that you contact or they contact either SORPAC or the DNR to look at alternatives other than grass, mowing everything on what is the outlots and or the conservancy area. Short grass, possibly tall grass prairie. That area, I believe, contains quite a bit of hydric soil and stays wet if we have a wet year. I would certainly suggest that, because that would possibly cut. I know a lot of individuals love to see lawns and want to see it look like a British estate from the 16th century.
No,
That's, given energy costs and where we're heading, it's not sustainable. So,
that's too much maintenance, and they say, yeah, the costs are.
yeah, even though I know my concerns were addressed by other commissioner members, I know that as platted out, they will not be taken out. But I am concerned with lights. Well, I'm concerned about Osblick. Osblick has been there a long time. So residents that are going to build these homes, and they will be expensive, should not be complaining that, oops, the lights are on in December or January. They mainly make snow. With the way our weather's been going, or weather patterns, it's usually right after Christmas when he really turns on the taps so they can open for January through February into early March. I mean, their window is so narrow anymore. They're like, we're looking at 3 months of being open and making it skiable. And so I'm trying to be fair to the membership, fair to Osblick, fair to the HOA, and to the development of this subdivision. But again, for the poor engineer to my right, the R2 C1 issue, I agree with Commissioner Everly. I would like to see that entranceway as per discussed. And then I again defer to SORPAC and the DNR for suggestions via the future HOA.
I
That is
believe
it.
the neighborhood to the south has in their declarations or otherwise a disclaimer or disclosure in regards to Osblick that Osblick requested when that development was done, the one with the tower.
Right,
So
the top of the
we're
hill,
working-
Celtic
yeah.
Ridge.
Yep, Celtic Ridge. Yep,
Celtic,
sorry.
I'm sorry,
Yep, yeah, I couldn't remember the name of it, sorry.
my Irish.
Do you know, were those done as like a deed restriction?
I'm not
Just like
100%
a
certain.
disclaimer as a deed
Yeah,
restriction that
now
says.
their
just so you know, your
covenants
next
may
door-
be recorded on the deeds. So that may be where it shows up. Osblick was familiar with it, and we'll work with
They're
Dennis and
usually on
Osblick to.
If they're like the ones that we have, right on the bill of sale, on the deed.
Oh, yeah, it's important. Osblick
will
wants to
be
stay
hit
there
by-
for a long
The
time.
house will be hit by golf balls. You'll be woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning by 4.
Yep.
People still don't read it.
Yep.
So, Madam Chair, are there any other comments or guidance that anyone, maybe we should check with our chairman one last time, if online, unless his hand's not up. His hand's not up.
Other than
Anyone
what's been
else?
presented, I'm good with it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else for the good of the cause?
No,
I would like some guidance for the clerk, if we may. Do you want her just to list the issues, or do you want greater detail in the minutes for preservation purposes? Generally, she wouldn't put a lot in, but you gave some very, very specific comments. I'm willing to bet Mr. Everly will be looking for his list and others also. So can we make just one master list of all of the issues?
I can provide my notes to clerk if she so desires.
That would be fine. Does anyone have any specific guidance they want to give her on how much detail they want?
I would just, obviously, the easiest thing, Attorney Casey, would be to bullet point the items that we mentioned, not in.
Doesn't have to be by person or by commissioner, just. hit-
No,
hit
no,
the issues.
no, let's not make it.
Clerk does an excellent job. at that.
Yes, she
I'm sure
does.
they're all-
So,
Okay, just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page.
I just wanted to interject and ask if the applicants felt like they got enough feedback regarding point 4, which was regarding the recreational trail along Highway DV. you wanted input
Yes,
on that?
I believe
Yeah.
so. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I took a bunch of notes too from comments.
I have a follow-up question regarding the planned trail network. Is there any planned connection to the Ausblick property as part of this?
No, there will not be a trail connection to the Ausblick property.
Okay.
Okay, there's no action, right, John, that we have to take, so it was just,
Concept.
okay. All right, then we'll move on to new business.
Thank you, gentlemen. Oh, you're staying.
Oh, yeah. Don't
Stick
go
around
too
if that's
far.
all right.
Discussion and necessary action on the request by applicant Brian Lindgren, Newman Developments, on behalf of owners Michael and Mary Ann Boyd for concept plan review for proposed unnamed subdivision on the easternmost 25 acres of the property located at 22, must be west 227 north 8560 Tamarack Road, and identified as LSBT 0190998. Okay, Orin, do you want to start us off?
Yep, just wanted to make sure the GIS caught up. So you're all now magically being whisked away to the other end of town. And you have before you a request for a concept plan that includes 18 single-family residential lots on approximately 25 acres. These range from 27,013 square feet to 71,254 square feet. The petitioner is proposing to develop these lots with sanitary sewer, which is something that the town hasn't seen for some time, I've come to understand. They're looking to utilize a section of the code called sanitary regulations from section 3E4 to reduce lot size, width, setback, and open space requirements. The proposed zoning is R2 single-family residential with a minimum lot size of 0.57 acres or 25,000 square feet. A minimum lot width of 105 feet, which is a proposed 30% reduction from the 150-foot minimum width referenced for that district. A minimum front setback of 35 feet, which is a 30% reduction from the 50-foot minimum setback for the R2 district. And minimum side and rear offsets of 20 feet, which match the R2, and a minimum open space of 17,000 square feet, which is a 15% reduction from the 20,000 square foot referenced. There are 4 proposed outlots and a proposed density of 1.39 acres per lot. We'll point out that the plan, future land use shows suburban density 1, which is 1.5 to 2.9 acres per dwelling unit. This development would need a comp plan amendment to accommodate the density that's being proposed, which we can get into more during our discussion. And there is some, I would just point out that there is some county zoning, so there would need to be a rezoning as well to address that particular part. And I'll defer to the applicants to give a short description of what they're asking for.
Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, that really hits the big questions we had on this parcel. It is conceptual, so again, we're gonna have a couple questions that we're gonna propose here to the commission and seek your guidance if we are to move forward. There are, as Orin mentioned, very few areas of the town that are accessible to sewer. This is one of them. The sewer actually runs right along the south property line of the Boyd's property line. So it sometime in history was originally intended that this area may be sewered. To my knowledge, that would require a sewer service area amendment and other agreements be entered into by the town to access that sewer. So the first question will be, is that a desire of the town to extend sewer into not only the Boyd property, but other adjacent properties? If that is something they want to see. And my comment on that is if these lands, the Boyds and otherwise are to be developed, they really need to be developed with sewer. The surrounding area is a lot of wetlands. So there's a lot of hydric soils that will not readily support septic systems. They are much more suited for a sewer development. So if it is to be a sewer development, that leads me to my next set of questions is how will we interpret the town ordinances in regards to sewer? It's there's a section, as I mentioned in your chapter 11, section 3E4, that allows for 30% reductions to the existing zoning code. However, there's some areas in the code where it says, well, the minimum is X, but which is to be applied. And our defense here is that sewer service is a valuable thing. We shouldn't waste access to sewer. So we need to be able, it's expensive as well, as we know when we install it, and as you know, and when it needs to be maintained and replaced. So we should make the most of those sewer areas. In fact, I'd love to go smaller than what you see here, because I think that's what's the right thing to do when you have sewer service. But this is something that we feel is a good use of the land that is consistent with the surrounding areas. The sewer does work here. It all flows to the south. Yeah, again, just kind of deferring to you for some guidance on the interpretation of the 30% reductions. And you can see on my notes that we kind of took them from the maximum sizes, but there are some minimum sizes in place. So what thoughts, please?
I'll just interject that I've got that code section up right now on the screen. I'd be happy to read it to you. So this is number 4, sewer reductions. A reduction in lot size, lot width, offset, road setback, open space, and an increase in floor area ratio in the case of any lot having municipal sewer or a municipally approved communal sewage system or water system available at the site, and where such service would be provided prior to any occupancy of such lot. The Plan Commission may approve the reduction of the lot size, lot width, open space, offset, and road setback requirements applicable to such lot, and may approve an increase in the floor area ratio after public hearing unless otherwise stated in the zoning district. In making the decision, the Plan Commission shall give particular consideration to the following: A, the suitability of soil, terrain, and groundwater table conditions, and the practicality of providing municipal sewer or water service to the parcel. And B, the effect of any reduction in the lot size, lot width, open space, road setback, and offset requirements, and increase in floor area ratio requirements on the character and value of surrounding development. The maximum amount of reduction in the lot size, lot width, open space, offset, and road setback requirements, or the maximum amount of increase in the floor area ratio of individual lots shall not exceed 30% of that required by the district in which said lot is located. The more restrictive of the above stated requirements and those stated in the applicable zoning district regulations shall apply. Where lands are to be developed as a planned unit development and are to be served with public sewer, and the density may only be increased by a total of up to 30%. We're not considering a planned development in this instance, so I won't read the rest of that. But that is what that section says.
Should we start?
ahead.
Yeah, well, no. I'm going to defer to the engineer to my right. I don't know how our administrator, Kathy, or others, or our full board, because usually we're dealing with questions, of course, that just involve septic systems and wells. As you pointed out, it's obvious apparently for this site, and I've just finally located it on a map, that if Soren water is available, to make it feasible economically and environmentally, that was what would have to be installed as you presented this evening. So, but the intricacies of the issue, I would defer to my other commission members to see what they have to say.
I'm just gonna jump in here quick. All this sewer and water, I believe on this area, does this go into the Lannon interceptor? Or does this go into the Good Hope interceptor? Mitch, you would know that, I believe.
To be honest with you, Joe, I do not know which one it's going into. I would have to talk with Don about that.
Okay, because I believe we are maxed out on our Lannon interceptor capacity at this time. Now, I don't know if there's any more capacity to be purchased there, because there's different points at which we can use it. And if this is going in the Lannon, it's going in north of where the manufactured mobile home park is. And I am pretty certain that that was maxed out already. So that could be something to play in there. I don't know how much capacity we're gonna need for these.
Yeah. We can definitely look into it.
That's just, that'll be one of the questions there.
Go ahead, Joe.
I think this whole area, I mean, I don't know the boundaries of what Lisbon has for sewer service for this general area, but based upon, and I don't know the history of this other than it runs downhill to the east. I think a sewer study needs to be done of this area and also a draft or a concept plan, or wherever you want to call it, for this property and the property to the, all the way out to town line needs to be done and a layout done, because I think this is, these 18 lots, I have a problem in looking at this without looking at the whole rest of the sewer service area. Because the land use and the layout of the streets and the lots for this whole area, the rest of the Boyd property, I don't know if it goes, if this sewer agreement, how far west it goes. But this whole thing's got to be laid out and not just look at these 18 lots. To me, this is like a finger in the middle of the whole darn thing. We've got to look at, somebody's got to look at this whole thing from Menominee Falls to the west and lay something out. Because it's
That's a
not gonna-
question we're asking of the board.
Yeah.
Is this something that you want to look into and in your sewer service area?
Well, whether it's, somebody's got to do it. And I understand what you're trying to do, but I don't think that we can even get close to, I can't, commenting on what your concept plan is here without looking at the whole thing. Because first of all, get back to my great vision of cul-de-sacs. This is not the way to work this. We've got to lay out from Town Line Road all the way to the west of the rest of the sewer service area and what the street pattern should be and how everything fits. Working with you as a possible developer of this small piece of the property, but the rest of the properties, there's a large parcel obviously to the east. If that's in the sewer service area, that's got to be addressed. And I don't know how far west this goes. I don't have, we've got to look at the sewer, and I don't know if it includes water or not.
It does not include
No,
water. So yeah, how we landed at the cul-de-sac is largely a result of some of the staff conversations we've had. The property to the east that does extend all the way to Town Line Road has the same problem as the Boyd property. It's split in half by a very large wetland. That'd be tough to cross. So the idea is here, we've got this pocket in the middle. The Boyds wish to have theirs developed. So we are pursuing that now. The neighbor at this time is, it's unknown if they want, if they do, but in the future they may, which is why we are proposing the stubble road towards that developable area of the property.
I'm just
which-
looking at the county's GIS and I see what you're talking about. There's a large wetland on the adjacent property to the east. And you're going up to about as far as you can go on the Boyd property. And then there's another wetland there and everything else. But I think the whole thing's got to be laid out that makes sense at the end of the day.
The Plainview Parkway right away does extend to the edge of the eastern property owner's property. So our idea is if the eastern property does get developed, that stub road could be looped back to Plainview Park.
Right. I just think the whole thing's got to be planned out, and looked at, not just look at to me myopically. I understand you're caught between two wetlands, but the whole thing's got to work out. We can't have, in my opinion, 3 cul-de-sacs running up there. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. I think that you've got some obviously legitimate questions, but I think that we've got to step back and look at the whole bigger picture first. And then see what needs to be done, what it's going to be when it grows up this area. And then look at sewer capacity and what the ramifications are and the process that it goes. It's gonna, that's the way, I mean, I've done these before in the past, another way it's been done. I just think we're ahead of the game here right now.
If these properties and any property gets developed as they come in, as
Right.
one at a time, so taking a larger view at it is something we always do, but we don't get in the habit of designing other people's properties.
I
if you will.
understand.
It is, we do a business in a lot of municipalities. Some municipalities have a master road plan and so on and so forth that we can follow. To my knowledge, the town does not have that. We'd be happy to kind of give our thoughts on the remainder of the Boyd property and adjacent. We have a little bit in the areas to the north are a little larger based on the land use plan. The desire when that was created by the town board was to keep those as larger farm sized properties, farmette. They're also a little wetter. They don't get drier as you head north either. So the ability to develop in mass to the north is extremely limited. The ability to develop in mass to the east is largely blocked by another wetland. And same thing to the west, where the remainder of the Boyd's property does have Tamarack Road that goes by and another stub road that goes into it, in which we would try to make as many connections as are available. But we're kind of landlocked or waterlocked more than anything.
No, I understand exactly everything that you're
Yep.
saying, and I know that, but all I'm saying is, I think the town should step back a little bit and look at this whole area and see what could be done in that would make sense. And not just look at these 18 lots. It may end up, this is the way it works out to be, but there's other possibilities that may work out to maximize the value of municipal utilities in this area that would benefit your proposal and adjacent developable areas. I think it's just good planning.
We're happy to help with that. And I
Yeah.
guess if that's the decision that the commission wants to make, my request would be that request be made to staff to pursue that, to pursue a greater sewer service area study in including these properties. And if they need help with kind of how would a developer lay this out and develop it, we're happy to do that.
And I will tell you that if that request is made by the plan commission, since the plan commission does not have a budget, the matter will be referred to the town board.
That's correct. And I did
Just so
make,
everybody knows.
Yeah.
Staffers can't take direction from the plan commission to spend that kind of money.
and I,
Now, we
As
can't
much as
do
we'd love
anything.
to do as you please.
Right.
Joe, I did jot it down.
Yeah.
So we
No.
can move on.
We, this is all we get. I mean, and this has to last for 3 more meetings. so-
Yes.
Right. I think it would be a benefit to the town and also to the landowners and any potential developers to look at this at a bigger scale. Thank you. I'll quit.
Jeff?
My turn, okay. I thought this was a interesting parcel. I was out there earlier today and I noticed there was a manhole right on the corner there. And I walked up a little bit, it kind of comes up on a ridge and then it drops down into the wetlands. I have a couple things, questions, I guess. Notice the stub end road there. What is the length of that cul-de-sac? Because when I came in, Sandra's Drive is already 600 feet long and terminates at a dead end. So you're adding probably another 700
From that
feet?
stub road would be about 700, 750 feet.
Yeah.
And then that, again, if this all develops in a larger master plan, that stub road
That's
could
double-
connect to Plainview.
That would be the answer to it. Otherwise, I'm very hesitant to go something that long. Also, I'm a little bit worried about lots 8, 11, and 12 in that they indicate some wetlands on a good portion of that. And when you look at the setbacks from the road and from wetlands that are required, can you even get, any kind of building built on those lots? I think that needs. to be
Totally
looked at.
understand. Yeah, from a conceptual plan, this is more space planning than anything. As we were looking at it, it led to really greater questions about sewer service area and interpretation of 30% reductions before we
Right.
go any further, but we would do a wetland delineation, make sure we know exactly where those are, and then plan the lots accordingly. And I do think on this property that would result in a loss of lots.
Well, that's my thinking too, when I'm just looking at it. Okay,
Unless you'll allow them to go small.
well, that isn't my decision to make. The other thing I have, or a comment, I guess, is, you indicated this would take a comprehensive plan amendment, so, that can't be done, of course, until next January, submittal to the county. So this gives the town some time to kind of, as Joe recommends, take a broader approach to this. My recollection is, and I'm pretty fuzzy because I've been gone such a long time from the town, is that this all goes into the Good Hope interceptor of this whole area here. I believe that's the case, but,
That's our understanding.
That's our belief as well, just
Yeah.
because we developed the neighborhood to the south of Plainview,
Mhm.
and that interceptor goes down to Good Hope.
Right.
And it extends up into this neighborhood that's in
Right.
between. So I think that's correct, but but
Yeah.
have to be verified.
I'd have to double check it too. I also had a question about the ponds. You have several ponds located in here. None of those are in the wetlands? Or how about the setbacks from the wetlands? Are they in that area?
You can utilize ponds in some of the setbacks for
Okay.
the county, because it's a water treatment kind of leading up to
Right.
it. Kind of pre-treatment.
All right. That's really all I had with respect to
them
this.
in the
piece. Thank you.
Put them next.
Have you done any borings on the property at all for like depth to high groundwater?
We have not.
Okay, because our ordinance, we have an ordinance that states that the basement floor elevation cannot be any less than 1'6" above the depth to high groundwater mark or estimated high groundwater, which is a Form A. So I'd be concerned about that. And we don't really have a provision for sewer lots. It's kind of was a blanket ordinance, more or less, for mound system, septic system. But I'm all for sewer in this area. I mean, it does fit in with everything. I do agree with Joe about the study. But that's my biggest concern is the depth of high groundwater, because it is pretty low. And you go down.
Absolutely, we would
you know,
do those tests.
Tamarack pretty much has standing water next to railroad tracks all year long, drought or not, doesn't matter. The train goes through a swamp basically, and it's not that far away. So
Definitely does.
that's my only concern.
Yeah, I don't, my biggest concern is the sewer capacity for this area. It would have been, I should have maybe gotten a map of this sewered area that was planned, but I didn't, so I'm sure that that's something we'll all look into. But that's all I had. Joe, you got anything else?
Nope, that covers it for me.
Okay, so we don't need to take any action on this?
Can we ask, is that something that we can request, the sewer service area study on behalf of the homeowners? I'm sure they would love to know if the developability of their property. Or is that something that the plan commission is interested in
don't-
recommending?
Does anybody have an
board?
answer for that?
I've got it
don't know.
jotted down.
Yeah,
Oh,
So I'll bring it forward.
okay.
I'll jot it down and see if they want to do anything with it. Get an idea of what the cost is and
Mhm.
make proper decisions.
Okay, so you're gonna,
I'll take care of it.
okay. All right. All right, then that takes care of that. Are you on the next one too?
Yeah, guess
or-
what? We're not going anywhere.
Okay. Next under new business is, under B is discussion and necessary action on the request by applicant Eric Obarski, Newman Companies for lands located along Ainsworth Road in the town of Lisbon, LSBT 0264043 for approval and recommendation to the town board of the following items related to the preserve at Harvest Ridge Addition Number 2. The first one is the final plat. And then the second one would be the development agreement. Orin.
All right. Plan Commissioners, you have before you a request for a final plat for the Preserve at Harvest Ridge Addition Number 2. This project has been going on in phases, and I believe this would be phase 3 and
Correct.
the final phase for
Correct,
the
yeah.
development. So we're gonna bring it home here. Here's the area map up on the screen that just identifies that this is the northern portion of this subdivision that we're talking about filling in. The project was established as a planned unit development with a general development plan, which was approved back in 2019, and a specific development plan approved in November of that same year. The preliminary plat included all of the 64 lots for the subdivision, and the developer chose to submit the final plats in phases. So phase 1 included 26 lots, phase 2, another 11 lots, and here we are for phase 3, which contains 27 additional lots. The stormwater has previously been addressed by the town engineer in the county. At the time of writing my report, we were still waiting for a letter of credit for phase 3 based on some, I think, estimates. So that's being worked out in the background. The plat was subject to review by the Lisbon Merton JPC. And that meeting took place on Monday and was approved with a unanimous approval of the members present. So that step has been completed. There are some conditions in the report from both regarding the final plat approval. Some of these things listed in here have likely already been completed, and so we would just check those off. If the commission takes issue with any of those being included, you can propose to remove them as part of any motion. I don't have any issue with this as being proposed.
Yeah, thanks, Orin. I mean, this is a fairly straightforward. It's the last 27 lots of our Preserve at Harvest Ridge subdivision. Plat layout is exactly as it was in the preliminary plat. DA we got through, we have no issues with that. So I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
No, at this, yeah. Obviously, the outlot 9 areas that were prone to flooding in the past obviously have been avoided.
Correct.
So, but again, no further comments.
Anything else? No,
No.
Joe?
I'll make a motion to approve final plat, contingent on completion of comments contained in the planner's review letter dated April 18th, updated on the 25th of April 2022.
Okay, motion has been made by Joe. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay, seconded by
It's,
Ed.
Madam Chair, it's my understanding this is a recommendation to the town board.
Recommendation.
Oh,
Right.
is that okay with
Yes,
you
that's what I meant.
and
to
with a
say.
second?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
of course.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 I,
Okay, any nays? No? Okay, motion passed. Okay, now we have the development agreement.
I presume the town attorney has reviewed this.
Town attorney has reviewed it and changes were made to his liking.
I'll recommend,
Okay,
I'll make a motion, recommend approval of the town board developers agreement.
okay. Motion by Joe,
I will second that.
second by Ed. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, any nays? No? Okay. All right,
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your input on the first comments.
okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay. Next is C is discussion and necessary action on the request by Richard Swanson for the property located at N94W23611 Hermitage Drive, LSBT 0150020002 for approval and recommendation to the town board of the following: the rezone from A3 agriculture to R2 residential, specifically excluding UC and C1 zoned lands. And the second one is a 2-lot certified survey map. Okay, now what are we doing with
Asking
this?
the table.
Just table it?
Just table it.
Okay, all right.
Timeline on the CSM, what's our deadline?
He had written a request to be moved to the June meeting, so we're fine.
We
Okay,
need to make sure we have enough time for it to get to the town board.
The applicant did make a written request yesterday that he is requesting the Plan Commission to delay action on the rezone and CSM that were submitted until after the text amendments have worked their way through the process. The 2 text amendments were submitted yesterday. So we do have a request in writing.
okay. Will someone make a motion to, are we
Table.
tabling it?
Table.
Just table.
Tabling this action?
Move to table.
June, we have to say to the June.
Let's do it to the
Second.
June 2nd
Or,
meeting,
whoops.
Okay,
just so we keep a handle on it.
is that okay with you, Ed? To
Yes.
Put in the June 2nd? Do
Yes.
we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Okay. Nays? No? Okay. The motion is passed 6-0. Okay, next is D. Discussion and necessary action on the request by Brian Builders Corporation, TDC Lisbon LLC for a vacant parcel located along Richard Road in the M2 General Industrial Zoning District, known as LSBT 0241999001, for approval and recommendation to the town board of the following. First, a 2-lot certified survey map, including any waivers as may be necessary, and 2, the development agreement. Orin, you have anything for us?
My microphone's not. There we go. Okay, so we have up on the screen here the lot in question, which is in the business park off of Richard Road. The applicant is proposing a certified survey map to divide this parcel into two developable lots that they are calling Lisbon North and Lisbon South. The certified survey map, lot 1 will be for a proposed 150,000 square foot new warehouse and distribution building. That's approximately 12.647 acres. And we already discussed the matter of the conditional use permit for the major grading as it exceeds the threshold prescribed by the ordinance. As far as the certified survey map portion of this is concerned, I don't have any particular conditions noted outside of that the petitioner shall satisfy all comments, conditions, and concerns of the Town of Lisbon Plan Commission and Board, Town Engineer, Town Planner, Attorney, and address all those prior to the certified survey map being signed and recorded. You have a separate correspondence from the Town Engineer regarding the certified survey map specifically.
Mitch, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, so I've been working with the engineer with regards to a few of my comments that I had within my review letter. He actually had addressed those, and I'm hoping that you guys all got a copy, but I sent the final CSM that they prepared on the 3rd.
That was distributed tonight.
Okay, good. So that one shows that they're boring locations and so forth. But all of our other comments have been addressed with regards to that CSM that's been that's in front of you tonight.
Okay, is there anyone here for this? Oh,
Hello, as was mentioned, my civil engineer, CJ Engineering, Chris Jackson, has been working with Mitch, and he addressed the comments that were identified, and we have submitted adjusted copies to the commission and the town.
Madam Chairman,
yes,
I have a couple of questions.
okay.
May I ask that the petitioner walk us through his documents first? That might answer some of the questions, unless you
Okay.
want to ask the questions and then have him do his
Well,
presentation.
He's gonna do it one way. Go ahead.
It'll be brief. Basically, we have 2 lots, as you know, north and south, roughly 12 acres, one slightly larger, one slightly less. We have an intended user for the north, and we do have a intended user for the south. We're further along the process with the north. We have developed the design far enough along with the north to represent what we propose to happen on the site. And we have been working with the engineer on related items to the development beyond the CSM, but the CSM is to serve the purpose of delineating the two parcels to allow the developments to occur. And I'll open it up to questions, I guess, at this point.
I'm concerned that the drainage easement encroaches in the building.
And we've looked at that, and the existing ditches are not being disturbed as part of the process. It is confined to the furthest northwestern portion of the site. The 50-foot setback area basically, and I believe my civil engineer is available online too to chime in with more technical explanation. But everything is handled as far as the distribution of the water within that 50-foot area. So what we would do is, if it would be preferred, is we would like to redelineate the easement to reflect that, so that the northern portion of the current 75-foot drainage easement to be reduced to 50. And then as we get further down to the southern portion of the north side, we could maintain the 75, and that would be the only adjustment that we would need to make. And the civil engineer has been working with Conkle to make sure that that drainage system for the entire park still coordinates with everything and works to provide the necessary drainage that's required.
Well, I'm just looking at the CSM, and I think I have the one from today that you gave us.
Correct.
Unless I'm reading something wrong, which happens a lot, even on the east side of that, of both of those lots, the drainage easement encroaches upon the setback. I mean, there's a 60-foot drainage easement and there's a 10-foot building setback. And I'm thinking, because I ran into this problem once in my life, somebody's gonna have a problem with that when they read this someday and say, okay, who's cutting a ditch through the inside of my wall? I mean, I think they should be corrected one way or the other, so that we don't have, even if they're coincidental, that's fine. But I don't see how we can have a drainage easement and a building setback, and the drainage easements could be inside the building.
We would correct it. That's what I'd like to do, but
Yeah.
Again, we were working with the coordination as is. We
I
could
mean,
make that
it's-
adjustment.
it's
That
a
would be
dra-
my preference.
It's a drafting exercise that should take a couple of hours. I realize that there's a time concern with this, which is, I understand, but it's not that big of a deal to do. But I mean,
Sure.
somebody's gonna have to someday do an Alta survey, and there's gonna be a problem, and then it's gonna cost thousands of dollars to do it.
We could make the edit. We could make it as quickly as tomorrow.
As long as the town engineer is in consort with it, because it's his drainage easement.
Chris, I don't know if you're able to hear. If you could want to chime in at all, I'd welcome to have you do so. Chris Jackson.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you, Chris.
Okay, this is Chris Jackson, CJ Engineering. We prepared the CSM. The existing drainage easement, which handles all the stormwater runoff and the water quality, doesn't extend the full length of that easement. It actually is confined within the 50-foot setback area. So making that change won't affect, the ditch or the function of the stormwater, and would be advantageous and kind of clean it up. So I agree, we can make that change quickly and recirculate a new CSM for that, showing that adjustment on the north lot.
Right is right, so that's fine. And the other question I have was, and I had a note here that I lost someplace or another. Shouldn't there be a utility easement around the perimeter of each of these lots?
I digress to the town engineer and my engineer.
I mean, that's a personal preference of mine, because they end up digging up there anyway and putting stuff in. So
Sure.
it's Mitch's call. I just bring that up every time I see a CSM.
Sure.
You're correct. There should be a utility easement on each property line, specifically also through the middle. I'm trying to see this a little better on my computer.
I believe that
I-
water main on your site plan is gonna be owned by the property owner and not the town.
I believe that is the case, yes.
Okay, because some of these, sometimes industrial lots.
Right.
The utility owns the entire water main, but if that's the only other thing I have.
I think ownership would be by, if you guys want to confer, but ownership would be by the property owner.
Thank you.
I just wanted to chime in. We talked about a prescription for Commissioner Eberly's concerns along the west side of the CSM, if you will, along Richard Road, regarding the setback and the drainage easement. What would the prescription be for the east side, where there was also a concern with the 10-foot building setback versus the drainage easement? Would it, because we talked about changing the easement on the west side, but over here, would we be prescribing, would the plan commission be prescribing a greater setback, or would the solution be to change the drainage easement again?
I would prefer, if I could chime in, to
Yeah.
change the drainage easement. We do not want an additional setback. That would be not beneficial.
You're gonna be in a problem when you go to expand that building with that.
Correct.
So the question, I believe, comes down to whether or not a smaller drainage easement is sufficient. You can't have both. I understand what you're saying and why you want to keep it at 10.
We can't have a smaller drainage easement.
Well, then we've got a conundrum here. We got a ditch going through a building.
The setback can't be in the same plane or same area.
The building setback could be moved to the 60-foot drainage easement, or
Yeah,
To
I
the
don't see
s-
why we couldn't have, be within that same area and then only have 60 feet overall maximum. I mean, the 10-foot setback is handled by the 60-foot overall.
But the drainage easement allows somebody to put a drainage facility within that easement.
Correct.
It's this wide. Your building can be built up to here. So
Right.
theoretically, you could have a ditch under your building. That's the conflict. The drainage easement as currently stated on the CSM is under your building.
It's not under the building now.
no, it's not.
What physically happens and what is on paper are not necessarily, you could have 100-foot wide drainage easement and only have a 2-foot pipe in there. But it still allows, because of the wording of the easement, allows somebody else to use the rest of the easement for drainage. And it's going to be underneath your building.
Well, I just wanted, for clarification, point out on the west side of the property, there is structure proposed that meets the setback requirement, but is within the current easement as it's delineated. But on the east side, there actually isn't, even the future addition to this warehouse building isn't in the easement as proposed, but your point is that hypothetically speaking,
Yes.
something could occur in the future.
I mean, I'm not trying to tell you your business. You know what you're doing.
Right.
But if I was building that building, I'd be very concerned that somebody could come and dig the Panama Canal underneath my frickin' building. That's what I'm concerned about. And that's what it says happens. And I think it's something that's got to be worked out between you and the town. Because the two they can be coincident. It could be the same line, but this can't be underneath of this.
I don't think we are underneath. I guess I don't understand where we are on this side of the drainage easement. The building, anything that we're developing, we're not going past the drainage easement. The drainage easement on the east side is 60 feet. Where's
Your
the
future addition, how is going to be where?
future addition would be outside that 60-foot drainage easement.
Okay, then we should change the building setback so that it's coincident with the drainage easement, then there's not a problem. It's a line.
Well,
but
that's what I was
Yeah.
understanding to be the case.
That's what I thought we were going to do.
Okay,
I understand Orin's concern, but I think that we should make it right. Because we all may get hit by a,
yeah, I
rocket
mean,
tomorrow.
I'm open to having that if that's the preferred way, but
yeah,
that's my understanding is the setback is within that. It's not in addition.
no,
Two.
no. They can be coincident.
Correct.
In my opinion, they could be the same.
Right.
And I think it's a drafting thing. It would just move the building setback on this CSM back.
Okay. I mean, if that's an acceptable edit for everyone,
Yeah, the plan commission can prescribe greater setbacks than the zoning district based on the conditions for a particular property. So
as long as we don't go any further than 60 feet overall
Right.
with anything, that we're fine with
It can be
that.
the same line, yes.
Right.
So
I think it protects the town and it protects the property owner, the building owner and the lender.
I mean, the drainage means that will preclude that from occurring, but
Yeah.
I'm okay with having that as simultaneous.
are there any issues extending that to the southern, proposed lot 2 on that side?
there-
We talked about.
Based on the concept with the building that they're gonna have, there's gonna be greater distance from that edge anyways. It shouldn't be an issue at all, as long as the 60 feet is the extent.
Otherwise, you've got to go back.
Sure. Okay.
I would propose that you do that.
Okay.
Makes life easier for you and the bank and everybody.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I think the plan commission would be adding a condition via the motion for the CSM to the effect of an increased setback on the east property line so that the drainage easement and setback correspond with one another. Is that essentially what we're talking about?
That sounds fine to me if town engineer can live with that. I mean, I'm not trying to usurp him. Isn't there going to be in a future street? This is really a double frontage lot, correct?
There is a future street proposed for mostly in line with the eastern boundary of lot 1, the northern lot.
To the
Right.
east.
And I believe just right around at the transition between the north and south lot is where the curve is made, and then basically the road would head east.
What I'm getting at is by doing what you're proposing, which I think is the best way to get out of this, it actually solves the issue of a double frontage lot when that streets, because you actually have 2 front yards. So by moving that building setback, it'll look better. Your buildings will look better because they're set back on paper the way they are. So we get a twofer.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Thank
won't
you.
hamper what our intent is, so I'm
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have? Ed?
I'm so glad I'm not an engineer.
You get
Um,
dates?
Yeah, amazing technicalities. I'm excited because, to my knowledge, this will be the largest building. We have 3 industrial parks in the town of Lisbon, hopefully soon to be village. And this will be the largest structure that's been constructed ever in the town of Lisbon. So based on my commissioner to my right and the issue of drainage easements and water coming off the site, et cetera, do it right. It looks like a very good build. I mean, looking at the drawings, looks like an excellent building.
Sure.
From the
Thank you.
specifics. Plus, you're gonna be moving sodas and potato chips or whatever,
Product.
my favorite
Related to
foods. But anyway, no further comments.
Jeff, do you have anything? Okay, Brian?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm also good. Joe, do you have anything?
Nope, all been covered.
All right, then we're looking for a motion to approve this certified survey map and recommendation to the town board.
I'll make the motion since I caused all the problems. I would make a motion recommendation to the town board for approval of the CSM as presented, including the remarks by the town engineer and the town planner, with the addition of an increased east side building setback to 60 feet and the provision for a utility easement around the perimeter of each lot on all four sides.
Can we not have it on the insular or the interior lot line that's shared by the two?
If you don't think it's gonna have anything in there, that's,
Not, our intent is not to, and I'd rather not add that.
okay, that's
Flexibility.
fine. Then it would be on the perimeter of the entire CSM of lots 1 and 2, not the common lot line between 1 and 2.
Okay.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Yeah, it would be
The utility would occur within that same
yeah, I think
basic
you're talking
drainage
about
area.
the building setback being, the building setback increase would be around the perimeter of the
From
exterior
the
of 1
property
and 2.
line out and basically it would still be within the drainage area.
Right.
It wouldn't go closer than the drainage
Right.
area. I'm good with that.
Do I have a second? Okay.
And actually, that would help because I believe on the west side, there's an electrical line that's already there and there isn't a declared easement. That would probably help in that vein.
Okay.
Okay, any more discussion?
No.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Any opposed, nays? None. Okay, now we go to the development agreement.
The development agreement has been worked through,
I can't hear you, Kathy.
sorry, the development agreement was reviewed by the town chair, the town attorney, and changes were made as he requested.
Okay. All right, so we just need a motion to, okay, you need a motion to approve the development agreement.
Recommend.
So move.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second. Isn't that a recommendation to the town board?
And a recommendation to
Yes.
the town board. Yes, thank you, Joe.
That was
Okay,
embedded in that. but that's
any
okay.
more discussion?
No.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No. Okay. That also passes 6-0. Okay, the next is E, under new business, discussion and necessary action on the request by Bryan Builders Corporation, TDC Lisbon LLC, for a vacant parcel located along Richard Road in the M2 General Industrial Zoning District, known as LSBT 0241.999.001, for approval of the following. The first is a major grading conditional use permit for Lot 1, the northern lot of the above proposed CSM. And the second one is a site plan and plan of operation for a spec building on Lot 1 of the above proposed CSM. Warren?
I don't have any other information to provide
Okay.
regarding the major grading permit unless there's any questions from the commission, for myself or the town engineer.
Of course I do.
Okay.
You don't like
Joe, do you
graders.
have a question?
I have a question, 2 of them. Number 1 is I can't wait to change the parking requirements in the future because they're just obscene. And I understand, so
Takes your breath
but
away when you
the
see
other
it.
thing is, I guess this is a question for the plan commission. Should there be an entrance out to the east?
There isn't a desire to have that, and basically any place that we'd want to put it with the configuration of our site plan would not be probably recommended from the engineer. For example, like if we had anything on the loading dock side, the south side of the building, you're going right where there's a principal swale area
Yeah.
that would probably require a lot of heavy lifting to accomplish that, and it would be at a curve. So it wouldn't, then there's no benefit to the tenant or the landowner to have that
Okay.
connection.
the reason I brought it up is I envision a possibility of somebody working at this facility going to an adjacent establishment on their way to work and picking up coffee and donut, and then you have to go back on Silver Spring, come all the way around, get into there. But if it's gonna screw up your operation, then I will.
The preference would be not to have it. We did look at it briefly on the northern portion, south drive of the north parking lot.
Yeah.
But the concern there was you're awfully close with the drive at a corner.
Yeah.
We figured that would be more of a detriment than a benefit.
As long as the fire department doesn't have a problem with just one entrance, I'm fine
And
with it.
normally, we work with obviously Matt Mertens and other projects and
Yeah.
we have, because of the two streets, you have basically 4 streets around the
Yes.
entire building.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, you're kind of like,
Right.
and I will comment that the building you're proposing is a beautiful building. Your staff did a great job on that. I mean,
Thank you.
It's
We
not-
appreciate it.
I'm familiar with the company that you represent, and this is typical of what they do. And this is a fine looking building that doesn't look like a box. Thank you.
I will pass that compliment along to everybody else on my staff.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Madam
Okay.
Chairman.
Ed?
Of course. Just to piggyback on what Commissioner Eberly mentioned, it would be a bad idea to exit any of your truck or vehicle employee traffic out onto Town Line. Town Line is already under serious stress. There's a school, as you know. Yeah, but I would assume that the road would connect down to Town Line. No,
No, there's another street.
it's gonna go out to Main Street?
Yes.
Well, yeah, no, keep your traffic, truck or otherwise going onto Main Street. Don't go onto Town
No
Line.
problem.
Obviously, no problem. Yeah, sorry, I thought it was gonna connect her. Okay,
Sure.
wrong. Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, anything?
No.
Brian?
No.
I don't have anything. Joe, do you have any comments?
I don't.
Okay, all right, then could we have a motion to approve? Let's see, first, the major grading conditional use permit for lot 1.
Do we need to read the entire motion or just item 1?
I'm sorry, what?
Do we need, if we need to just to approve, okay, I would move that the major grading conditional use permit for lot 1, northern lot of above proposed CSM be approved as presented, plus planner comments.
Okay,
I second that.
is there a second? Who? Jeff? Jeff. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Okay, motion passes 6-0. Okay, now we have the site plan and plan of operation.
I'll recommend the town board the approval of the site plan and plan of operation, the spec building on lot 1 of the proposed CSM, including planner and engineer comments.
Okay,
I will second that.
okay. Joe. And
Should that, or was that reviewed by the attorney also?
The site plan and plan of operation conditions,
Yeah,
we did at the staff meeting,
okay,
and we felt that they were adequate.
thank you.
okay, any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passes 6-0. Okay, item F, discussion and necessary action regarding possible termination of conditional use permit issued to the Common Properties Limited
you very much.
Partnership
Thank you.
Thank you.
for a communication tower located on the property known as LSBT 0257.071. And we have had a request from one of the,
For the attorney
Attorneys.
for the owner of the tower.
okay, that we table this to the June 2nd meeting. So do we have a motion for that?
Yeah, so moved.
Okay, Jeff. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Okay, Ed. Any further discussion? Okay, all of those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, no nays? Motion passes 6-0. Okay, next we have the planner report.
Had a robust round of planner appointments today. 5, including a surprise. So those will yield at least one new project for our upcoming plan commission meeting in June, and a couple possible future projects. One of those included a potential future development within the commercial portion of Business Park East, which will be coming to a plan commission meeting near you in the future. So that you guys have been doing a good job getting these projects on the industrial side through, and in the not too distant future, we'll be looking at some commercial projects.
Okay,
And I would just add that this this development that we just looked at, the lot 2, will come forward at a future meeting as well, for a smaller industrial building, but still an exciting tenant for the town. And that will be a site plan of operation. When they're, as they mentioned, they're not as far along with that tenant, but when they're prepared, that will come before the plan commission as well.
okay. Any questions for Warren?
Keep up the good work. Thank you for those compliments.
Okay, and would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Okay, Ed, a second.
No one second.
Jeff, okay. Are all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, the meeting's adjourned at 8:48. Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Better, Joe.